Okay, it's Sunday. The first item on the list is K01. This is the K series auction. There's going to be 10 items in this auction. The first item on the list is a reproduction of a knife I saw on the internet. You can Google stone knife or tri-cave artifacts or something similar, and it'll come up in the images. I just estimated this, and it's not a perfect reproduction. There's a couple things that are difficult to do with reproductions like this. One, it's difficult to find out exactly what materials they used. You know, like the formulation on the glue, the type of wood, and the type of stone. And number two, a lot of times they don't have the scale underneath, so you can't, you know, from the photograph you can't measure it. You can't get the dimensions, and you don't know if the handle is perfectly round or slightly flattened. You don't know how they did the notch in the end. You don't know if it's a square bottom notch or a rounded bottom notch or a V. You don't know how much of a gap they had when, or if they use it over and over for different points. You know, they may have had a big old gap in the wood, so it didn't matter what point you could put in there, a fat one or a thin one, a thick or a thin one, that kind of thing. So this is just an estimation of what I think the artifact or similar real items look like with the picture as a basis. Okay. Anyway, on this piece, I can tell you some of the materials. I don't know what the wood is. It's just a mystery wood that we have back here. It's probably a maple tree or something. Anyway, it's seasoned wood. It was a little wet because we've had some damp conditions, of course. Anyway, it's been drying. I put a little bit of wood glue back here so it won't split. This is modern hot melt glue. This is a piece of West Texas heat treat chert, but it's lightly heat treated, so it's not delicate. It doesn't chip that easily. I rounded the tip off a little bit like it was in the photographs. I think actually the one I saw in the photograph had a more rounded tip than this, but I don't want to make it any more rounded than that. Now, I weathered it or made it look old with some grease from the bottom of a frying pan. We had some steak the other night, and there was some charred fat and some grease at the bottom, right? So that's excellent for rubbing into the wood to make it look older. And these scratches here, let's see. There's some scratches in the wood here that I did with a stone blade. They used to do that sometimes back in the day to help the glue stick to the wood or whatever, right? They just scratched into the wood itself. So that's what that is. So I rubbed that grease and char around a little bit everywhere so it would look kind of old. So that's the first item. I will sign it in the usual way. I did buy some scribing tools, but it's I've never really liked using scribing tools, and so I had to get used to it again. But if you want me to scribe it, let me know. I'm leaning toward using a rotary tool to sign them instead of just a scribing pen, because some of the stone you can scribe extremely hard and then look at what you've done, and you can just pretty much blow away the dust and you have barely any effect at all on the stone. So I'm leaning more toward using a rotary tool to really grind in my initials and stuff. Okay. But my usual signing is with a drafting permanent marker, which has a very small tip, and then a top coat of varnish over it. Okay, so this is K01. And if you don't want me to sign something, just let me know. That's why I don't sign them before the auction usually. If you don't want me to sign it, just let me know. Okay, that's the first one. All right, second item on the list. Oh, wait, I didn't take the dimensions. I was talking about dimensions. Let's see. This one here. a little over 7 inches total. The blade itself, almost 3 inches or so, right? And the stone itself, slightly translucent around the edges. Okay. And this one does have a V notch to fit the stone. It doesn't have a lot of play in it. And I did use modern glue because if you accidentally leave it in a car with natural glue, it'll melt and run and the point will be misaligned and all that. I forgot to mention also that along with this particular point, I am going to cut off a chunk of this natural asphaltum and include it with the item. I'm going to just cut off a piece here so you can understand what real asphaltum looks like. Okay. Because a lot of those artifacts were fastened with asphaltum, probably mixed with some sort of other material like sap or pine pitch or natural latex, some sort of gum base, right? All right, because asphaltum by itself is kind of crumbly, and you'll see. All right, so second item on the list is just a blade by itself. This one is K02. It's a piece of Buffalo River. Yeah, I believe it is heat treat, although it's kind of chalky, crunchy, and difficult to nap. Kind of steppy. But it does thin down really well. Okay, that's the second item. Buffalo River is not really translucent. Okay. Let's see. Next item, K03. I don't know, I keep forgetting to do the measurements on these. Let's see. The last item, K02, is like 3 3/8. Something like that. Okay. This one here, so just a wrapped knife. It's also Buffalo River. A little over 4 inches. And I believe it is a heat treat. Although, yeah, this is a heat treat. I was going to say, although it's hard to tell sometimes, but I think I remember this particular piece. Okay, it's just the style of knife that I make. All right. It's not based on an artifact or anything like that. The next item, I'm going to have a bunch of these together. These are practice points. K04, what I call practice points. And a lot of times I work on a piece and I'm not really trying for anything specific, although I do have something in mind. It just gets me back into the swing of things when I'm doing napping. So I started out with a few of these. If I haven't been napping for a few days, I get back into the swing of things by doing some practice points. I was going to offer this one separately, but it's a little bit small. I don't know. To be to be a proper reproduction, I suppose. But anyway, this one is Pedernales type, resharpened. It's a heat treat from West Texas. This one is some sort of Texas chert as well. I think it is heat treated, but it's still very tough, very steppy, very crunchy. This one here, also West Texas heat treat. In fact, these are all West Texas stone from similar spalls. This is a Cody style of knife, although I think the resharpening on the edge is not correct, right? I just did some very fine pressure work, kind of beveled it, but I don't know if that's accurate. And this one here, I was just practicing up on the serrations and trying to get into the swing of making long points. All right, so that's K04, all offered together as one item. Let's see, next item, K05, is a single blade of, let's see, what is this? Rainy Buttes. Now, I actually purchased this nodule from Kentucky Flint Works. They have nodules of this available, so I bought one. It's a percussion with a pressure retouch, indirect percussion mainly. Sometimes you get into spots on this type of stuff where it's difficult to flake through, so that's what that is there. I didn't want to mess with that and try to pop it out because it leaves metal marks because I'm using steel to knot these. All these things that I make in these auctions are so far have been with modern tools and mostly with steel, some aluminum. I use aluminum to do the initial shaping on a lot of these, but you won't see aluminum on this. I finish up with steel. You know, you won't see little dings of aluminum usually on these unless I'm careless about it. But anyway, this is K05. This one here is 6 inches, looks like, almost exactly. All right, Rainy Buttes. Very nice coloration to it. It's got bands of different colors. Well, it's got like two primary colors, a darker and a lighter. I'm not sure what, yeah, it doesn't really show up with the artificial light. Okay. Let's see. Next item here is this. It's a kind of dovetail thing. K06. This is a mystery chert. I'm not sure exactly. It's probably a Texas chert. Yeah. It's got a little bit of pink up here in the stone. It's probably a light heat treat or a raw. As I was making this, I was going to sell it just as a biface, just like the last blade, but I dinged it here on one of the sides, so I said, well, I might as well just notch it and make a dovetail instead of trying to take it back and make it more narrow after that ding. I took a bite out of it and it looked like a notch anyway, so I just continued. It might be a little wide for a dovetail, but anyway, it is what it is, I guess. Almost 4 inches. Okay, and this type of chert's not that translucent. Okay. Let's see, Clovis type. This one is made from hornstone. Yeah. Hornstone Clovis Reproduction. Not the real thing. I made all these just in case. I still get that question. Did you make those or are they real? I made all these. Everything you see in this auction, I made it. Okay. This little thinning flake is okay. This one went a little bit better. In order for me not to waste too much material, I don't run long flutes on these, so they're going to be less than halfway on. Like most of my Clovis points are done with flutes that are less than halfway because there's too much of a risk. This wanted to dive in, right? I did it. This is a second flute. The first flute wanted to dive in, and it was kind of steppy on the sides, so I shot another flake in to clean it up, and it cleaned it up pretty well, but then it shot another little flake here to the side there. You know, continued here on that one, but that's why it looks like that. Anyway, hornstone I think it's Kentucky hornstone, K07, Clovis type. Okay. This one is Heat Treat Buffalo River, K08. It's a pine tree, and the bases on these things, or the stems on these things, are variable. Some are wide and rounded on the ears. Some are more narrow and pointy on the ears. So these are resharpened Kirk corner notched, right? But the notches are placed in different ways on these Kirks, right? As far as my research tells me, they're variable. These stems and bases are variable. I think they're always ground though, right? There's grinding and dulling on the base, and the serrations are pretty intense on these. All right. So there you go. Nice colors on this one. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these so I can get all the variations done. I think there's a certain culture in the current napping community that does these, that has very specific guidelines for how they do them. They're all tending to look very similar. Mine are not looking like that at the moment. You know what I mean? So I need to look into it some more. All right, that's K08. All right, let's see. We got a couple of boxes here. I can fit all of these, I think, into a small flat rate box. This is a bag. I mean, this is going to be a box of, let's see, bifaces and spalls. It's K09. Texas heat treat, 450 degrees. Piece of a hornstone slab. That's what the Clovis is made out of, this hornstone stuff. A couple of pieces of rainy buttes. These were left outside last night, so they got a little wet in the rain. Let's see, we got some Buffalo River. 3 pieces of Buffalo River. Let's see, just give you an idea. How wide is my hand? 3.5? 4 inches. I should have done this a while ago. Anyway, kind of get you an idea of how big these are. Let's see, I got a piece of Georgetown, West Texas heat treat, same as this stuff here. I think this is from the same batch. I heated it to 450 degrees. Hornstone is never heat treated. This Rainy Buttes, never heat treated as far as I know. Buffalo River, I can't tell you which ones. I think some of these two might be heat treated, and this one might. No, this one probably is, and I don't know about these. These might not be. This is Texas chert. I believe it's raw. Another piece of Texas chert, kind of translucent. And I think this is raw as well. This is a piece of what they call Owl Creek chert. It can be heat treated, I think, but this one is raw. It's kind of a chalky, crunchy type of material, but it naps okay. This is a piece of, let me think here, Buffalo River Dark. Buffalo River, I don't think it's heat treated, but I could be wrong. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is a piece of, this is hornstone. Now this slab of hornstone here has these cracks in it. So a bit accordingly. I'm not sure exactly how solid this particular piece is. Let's see. Yeah, so these cracks might go pretty deep. So just be aware of that. I think this one is cracked here. So if you, this is just to give you an idea of what it naps like. You can probably cut on the saw. You can cut some of this out, but this is going to have a crack going right through there on this side here, and this one goes in fairly deep as well. So this is just a slab to give you an idea of how it naps. It's not probably not going to yield a big old point like that. You know what I mean? But this one is, there's no issues with it. I believe it is hornstone. It has that kind of a glittery look to it, just like this does on the inside. Okay. This is a piece of extremely strong Georgetown. It's not like this other piece of Georgetown in here. Or it's not, yeah, this is a piece of Georgetown. This is easier to nap than this. I was hitting this extremely hard. This is good for like a flint and steel kit, a fire striker type piece of flint. This is also Georgetown. These three pieces are Georgetown. These two are easy to nap, and this one is not. This one's extremely tough. Okay, so if I were to label it, I would say very strong Georgetown flint. And the last but not least, this is a piece of heat-treated black novaculite. And when I start napping, at the beginning of the week, I make a bunch of bifaces and stuff, and sometimes I make stuff out of them, and sometimes I don't. And the ones I don't, I'll just offer them to you as a box of bifaces or whatever. Okay? And I'll throw in some other material. If I can fit a few more flakes in to this box, I will. But I think this is going to be a full, small, flat rake box. All right? And the next one, the last item, K10, is another box. Okay, so this one here is Buffalo River Heat Treat. It's a biface, about 5 inches. I don't know, half-inch thick. Pretty straightforward stuff. This is a piece of raw Texas chert, Central Texas. It can be heat treated. It's got some concrete like right there, but it's not that bad in terms of raw stuff. It's not that bad as far as concrete goes. Let's see. I was napping on this, and it had an internal flaw right in the middle. So it snapped on me. It was going to be a nice blade. Almost finished with it. And I think I was working on the stem or the base here, just snapping around the bottom, and the top popped off. Let's see. And that's what did I say? Rainy Buttes. The rest of this stuff is mostly raw Texas cherts. I save these up because I use these for tools, for scrapers, these little broken tips. But if someone might want these to use as tools also, or to try napping them. These are extremely tough to nap. I've got one here that I snapped off an ear. This is West Texas. Yeah, it's a heat treat, I think. Yeah. I think this one is raw. This one is probably raw as well. Most of these are Texas cherts. Yeah, these are all. This is Georgetown type stuff. I think that's, yeah. Both pieces of this one here. So yeah, all these are West Texas raw stuff for the most part. This one's probably a heat treat. But it'll give you an idea of what these are like if you want to experiment with napping them. Yeah, that was a Another little heartbreaker. There was no defect in the material. I just hitting it too hard, apparently. Alrighty. Okay, so if there's room in this box, I'll put some more in there. Similar types, you know. I think I still have some broken pieces. If not, I'll just put in some regular flakes. Okay, so there you go. That's the last item on the list. The rules of the auction are in the description. Please don't wait till the last minute to bid. I'll be trying to have one of these every Sunday. If you don't see something that you want, or if you can imagine you want something, just email me, jackcrafty2@gmail.com. Also, if you have an issue with an item that you've previously purchased, or you want a duplicate or something, you can email me. Any issue you can think of, just email me on the side. Once in a while, I won't be able to see your bids, which is unfortunate. YouTube has little glitches, right? So once in a while, I won't be able to see your bids. If we get unlucky and you're the highest bid and I don't see it, and I award the item to somebody else, email me and I'll see if I can generate a duplicate for you. Now, I'm not going to take away the item from the person that I told that won the item, you know, because I can only see what I can see. So I'll award the item to the highest bid that I can see. I'm not going to take that item away if I made a mistake as far as not being able to see your bid, right? I'm going to try to give you a duplicate. So just email me if you have an issue, or you can just confirm with me, did you see my bid? And I'll check and see it, and we'll work it out during the auction. Let's see what else. Yeah, if you can think of anything that you might want to request for next time, email me, like I said, or just put it in the comments. And bid in the comments. I'll pre-populate the comment section with the item number, so you bid under the item number. There's some confusion about that. If you bid and it's not under the item number, I will remove your comment. Not because I don't like you, but because I don't want that confusion. If you bid outside of the comment that contains the item number, I'll remove that particular comment. So all the bids will be in the proper place. All right. Okay, I think that's it. I can't think of anything else. I'll try to have one of these every week. And good luck.